Other episode of Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view with my co-host Lloyd Mendenhall, the grumpy
Hello.
blogger. Welcome, Lloyd.
How you doing, Art? How's it
I
going?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. We got a good show tonight. No guests. We're just going to talk about uh, hot topics that are going on today. Like we're going to talk a little bit about that 16-year-old girl from Norway, Greta Thunberg,
Oh, that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she was just here in Denver Friday. She was at the what's the name of that park that's over by the city and county building?
Oh, I can't remember now.
Yeah, well, I'm having a brain fart too, but
Yeah.
they had a big rally there, and so she was there, and we'll talk a little bit about her. Then we'll talk about something that you brought up a few days ago about how AOC is bored with the impeachment process.
Yeah, poor girl. She just doesn't know what to do with herself.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about some election stuff going on here in Colorado. We have Proposition CC, which is the undoing of Tabor. I don't know if they have something similar in Oklahoma. We have what's called the Taxpayers Bill of Rights, where any if they want to raise your taxes or keep some of your tax refund, they have to go to the voters.
That's the
So,
way it is here too. Yeah.
okay,
They can't raise the taxes without taking it to the vote. Yeah.
that's right. So they're trying to do away with it by saying, well, we're going to put this for the roads. You know what? Every time I hear some proposition saying, oh, we're going to do this for the roads, and it passes, guess what? It doesn't go for the roads. The Democrats figure a way how to spend it on their pet projects or their entitlements that they think of to spend because
Yeah.
uh, they're kind of like that manic depressive woman who goes on a buying spree and then later on, we're broke.
Yeah. It sort of reminds me of an old I Love Lucy episode in which she goes to the store and they're having a sale and she loves sales. So she buys everything she can of the item that's on sale and brings it home. And when Ricky comes home, he looks at, why did you buy 25 cases of dog food? We don't even have a dog. You know, that's the way the Democrats are. You know, they buy this
Yeah,
stuff and then they said, well, but it was on sale, you
yeah,
know, you know, but the money was there. You know, you've worked, I don't know if you've worked in any government jobs or not, but you know, I have family and friends who have done it, and they have uh they they set your budget, okay?
right.
So what happens is when they set your, let's see. Oh, there, I'm on the wrong screen. No wonder it's out of sync. Okay, there we go. Uh I was thinking, why are you reacting to anyways? Uh I'm not with it today, guys. Okay, just give me a break. Anyways,
Well, we won't go there, but
yeah, yeah, it's getting old. Okay, yeah, I'm getting old. I should say I'm getting old. No, anyways, but they allocated X amount of
right,
millions of dollars that to spend for this year's budget.
right.
So at the end of the year, they've got an excess of budget rather than having that as a carryover and adding to it, or keeping it level or maybe bumping up next year's budget. What they'll do is they'll cut the budget by that amount that you had left over. Well, maybe the next year's a bad year, so they don't put it back. So what these government entities do in different places, colleges and everything, I know a lot of this because my son has to deal with budgets in where he works at,
Right.
as being a chief of police, he has to deal with budgets,
Hmm.
and that's most of his time is dealing with that crap.
Yeah.
But uh, and the politics goes with it. So they try at the end of the year, they spend it.
Yep.
Maybe he wanted, or maybe they want to put in a new security system, but didn't have it at the first year. But the budget came through better than they thought. And now they can do it, but they've got to spend it before the new year starts, and they submit their new budget. Because if you don't spend it all, the next year they're going to cut your budget. So,
Yeah. Hmm.
which I don't see a problem with that, as long as they can maintain the same level of programs
Right.
or security or whatever it is with the same amount of money. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the whole idea. We need to cut the budget in our government. We don't
Right.
need to, but what these congressmen do is they keep, well, I heard today that we haven't had a budget since 2008. I mean, we haven't had Congress has not completed a budget for the U.S. government since 2008.
Right. Right. Yeah,
They
that's
just
where
keep
they.
extending it.
Yeah, a continuing resolution, the CR.
Hmm.
What you're talking about is what's called baseline budgeting.
Right.
Yeah. Hmm. And
Yeah.
the dogs agree with it too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. My neighbor, this is the problem I have. It looks like I'm in a fancy office. I'm in actually, it was a spare bedroom. It's also an office. And, uh, when you live in a house and you're broadcasting from your house, you
Yeah.
get the neighbor. Part of the problem is he's decided to mow his lawn. It's Sunday, so
Uh,
so the dogs think that they. I live on a cross street, and we got a street going down that side and
I
another street
see.
going down this side. So between us, our backyard is at the head of the alley that goes down there. So I can,
Okay.
or each side of the everybody's backyard comes in this way.
Right.
So my dogs think anything from the back door of my house to the next block is their property. So when the neighbors
Yeah.
get out in their yard, they bark at them like they're not supposed to be there.
Right. Right. Yep. Yep.
Sometimes dogs aren't the brightest.
All right. Karen is messaging me. What does she want? Uh, she says bored with impeachment. Not sure I understand. Glad you're podcasting again. Oh, that's from Kara Cataline. She's a vlogger, and
Oh,
she's also an activist, and she was part of the Recall Polis movement.
oh, okay.
Really, really nice lady. Known her for about 10 years.
Right,
Hopefully, I could
right.
get her on the show. That would
Yeah,
be a
yeah,
good
yeah.
good to have her on. So yeah, so we're talking about Proposition CC. Uh, I just had uh, a thing on last year's election where they wanted to. It was called "Fix the Damn Roads," and it got defeated. And there were a couple of proposals on the ballot, and they were both for fixing the roads, and they both went down. I think the people got confused on it, and I think that's what killed
Well,
it.
that's what that's what they do. The politicians that are against it, they put in a type of wording that nobody knows uh,
Right.
what they mean by it.
Hmm.
Uh, a perfect example was I don't know, probably about 10 years ago. They had a uh, thing. Let's see, who's that? Okay, all right. They had a thing. Ding. All right, I got
Okay,
you.
your eggs are ready.
Yeah. Now, believe it or not, it's some of my fans, and well, there's Drone Life RC, and I tweeted out that we were doing a show today,
Oh,
and
cool.
I let people know last night on uh, uh, Philly Drone Life on the big show that he
Right.
does. I let him know that this was a conservative talk show, so be prepared for whatever happens.
Right.
Uh, uh, we try to present that you try to present the Well, we try to be
Right.
a voice for the conservatives that don't seem to have a voice.
Uh-huh.
But, anyways, what was I talking about?
Oh, well, you tweeted out the people that what this
Yeah,
show was, that you were
I,
committed to this show, and this show is what it is. It's about
yeah. Well,
conservative thought.
yeah. But there was something I was talking about before the dings went off. I can't remember now what it was. We were talking about. God,
Look, squirrel.
that's it. Squirrel. Yeah. Oh, I'm bad about. God, I'm getting worse. It's like, really? Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like that too, and I'll get distracted by some. But I'll skip. Okay, so let's skip over to Proposition DD, which is about sports betting. And let me read what it's about. Okay, it's funding the fits. No, that's CC. Legalize sports betting with tax revenue for water projects is on the ballot this year. So, uh, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this. We definitely need water because, as you know, Lloyd, Colorado is an alpine desert, and there's not a whole lot of water here, although we are the headwaters for five major rivers in the United States. But because we're in a compact with all the surrounding states, we have to have a certain amount of water flow towards those states.
Yeah.
So we're always starting with water retention, water storage, uh, building dams. But every time we want to build a dam up in the mountains, environmentalists go nuts. And what they do is they stall and stall and stall, and then it gets so expensive. Then we finally say, screw it, we'll do it some other way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, but when was the last time Colorado built a dam? The last one I knew about was Blue Mountain Reservoir,
Yep. Hmm.
and I haven't heard of any since. I don't know of any, you know.
Well, I think the last project that was on the board for up in the mountains was Two Forks.
Okay, all right, yeah. Of course, I haven't been in Colorado since I was 18, so well, I've been there to
Right.
visit, relatives, and my brother used to live there, and he ended up moving to Oklahoma too. But uh yeah, uh I haven't know, like I said, I actually remember fishing on the river before the dam was there.
Right. Hmm. Yep.
One year we went there and they were building on it. It was really neat to watch because they were building on it. So we were sitting down there and basically in the lake bed,
Right.
and the stream was running through, and they had diverted around where they were building.
Right. Hmm.
And we come back the next year and there's a lake, and uh,
Hmm.
it's it was quite unique. But yeah, and as far as major dams, I mean, like Blue Mountain and some of those others, like Grand Lake,
Yeah.
Shadow Mountain, and Lake
Yeah.
Granby. I haven't seen anything uh, or heard of anything really big since then.
Well,
You
we've
know.
got Spinny Mountain. We've got 11 Mile Reservoir, and then we have Williamsport.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And you're thinking of Blue Mesa
Blue
Reservoir.
Mesa, yeah, Blue
Yeah.
Mesa. I don't know why I call it Blue Mountain. It's
Yeah.
been a while. Blue Mesa. It's like I
Hmm.
said, I was a kid when they built it. So
Yep.
what I was doing was combining Shadow Mountain and Blue Mesa together. Blue Mesa is over by
That's down by
Gunnison.
Gunnison. Yeah.
Gunnison, yeah.
That's the
Yeah, see,
Gunnison River that runs
yeah,
through.
we used to go up there, and there was two places we went during the summer, and when my dad would get vacation, we'd go either to uh, well, it was over by Gunnison, a little town over
Right.
there, Almont.
Oh,
We,
okay. Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
we knew the people that originally owned the post office there, They're,
Right.
and as far as I know, I think the ones that the kids that are my age, the ones I knew as a kid, I think they still run part of that resort over there in Almont.
Nice.
And then after that, we started going to uh, uh, Lake Granby up
Okay.
to Shadow Mountain Resort. Oh,
Yep. Oh, there's Greg calling.
no, hang on a second. All right.
All right, we'll do. All right. So while he's taking care of that, I will read about. Okay. Okay. It says that sports betting isn't legal here in Colorado, but by next year, CU Buffs opener, voters approved the statewide ballot question this November. Uh, I have I have the apps already downloaded on my phone. Actually, said the Democrat House Majority Leader Alex Garnett, who co-sponsored the bill. Garnett isn't gambling illegally, though he thinks sports betting black market is alive and well in Colorado. He uses the payouts offered in the apps as guidance for fantasy football teams. Proposition DD will ask Colorado voters if they want to give the 17 companies that own Colorado's 33 casinos legal permission to apply for licenses to open physical sports book at one of their casinos. It would also let them contract with private companies to operate online sports book or cell phone app. Those casinos would pay a 10% tax on their net proceeds, and all the money would go to Colorado's water plant. The measure would put sports betting under regulatory thumb of the Division of Gaming and give the agency until May 2020 to write rules about things like how to verify person's age before they bet online and get the system up and running. Lawmakers did set a few rules, though. Betting on the in game performance of a college player wouldn't be allowed, and all bets on high school sports would be forbidden. Sanctioned esports, video game tournaments would be okay, but no betting could happen on unsanctioned sports of any kind. Before you care, Before you cast your ballot, here's what you need to know. Why now? May 2018, New Jersey convinced the U.S. Supreme Court that federal law limiting sports betting to a handful of states was unconstitutional. It was called the Professional Amateur Sports Protection Act, and states cross country rushed to create their own sports books as soon as the 6-3 ruling came down. In total, 42 states have passed or are working towards legalization. It's a way to legalize a practice that we know of as taking place in Colorado for over 50 years, Garnett said. The Denver Democrat and his Republican co sponsor, House Minority Leader Patrick Neville, put the question to the voters because any new tax needs their approval. A $29 million tax. Ballot question starts with the potential tax increase, as all tax questions must in Colorado. In this case, question is, shall state taxes be increased by $29 million annually? But it's not a tax on Coloradans. It's a tax on casinos. Sports books would take a cut of each bet placed in person or through a mobile app. And this tax would be on a percentage of those earnings. But it's unfortunate the ballot language has to say that, Neville said, adding that the wording might confuse some voters. Colorado casinos support the ballot initiative. Colorado Gaming Association worked with Neville and Garnett during the session to find a workable level of taxation. The state tax would be about the same as ones levied by New Jersey and Delaware, but it wouldn't be the lowest in the country. That's Nevada at 6.75% tax. This number we can live with and still make a profit, casino lobbyist Peggy O'Keefe told the Denver Post during the session. Okay, so the taxes would go towards water projects to store or conserve water here in Colorado. As, like I said to Lloyd, that Colorado is an alpine desert. We don't have a whole lot of water, so much of the water we get is from the snowpack up in the mountains, and when it in the spring that snow melts and it goes downhill through the creeks and streams and rivers and into reservoirs that have been constructed to uh, to hold that water so that it could be piped out to various municipal places. Good example is Waterton Dam, up in Waterton Canyon, the Cheeseman Reservoir, which was one of the first reservoirs built here in Colorado for water storage for the city of Denver. And welcome back, Lloyd.
Okay.
I was just discussing what Proposition DD was all about, how they would take 10% tax on casinos for uh, sports betting, and that money would go to water projects. The last water project, the latest one, is Reuter Hess Reservoir, which is over there by Parker, Colorado, which is
Right.
basically a water retention uh, reservoir for
Right.
the city of Parker. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's if they use it for what they're supposed to use it for. I mean, we brought in gambling here in Oklahoma. It's supposed to help the schools, and teachers still ended up going out on strike because it wasn't helping them whatsoever.
Yeah,
And it cost the last governor their job, basically because, uh, well, they chose not to run because they knew they wouldn't stand a chance. So,
right. Hmm.
and she's
Yeah,
Republican, but we did reelect. Uh, we actually elected a very conservative Republican, and
mm,
and he's budget minded, and he started saying, "Okay, we've got to put the money where it needs to go," and started doing that.
right,
And it was not the fact the money wasn't there; it's the fact the way it was being spent.
right. Hmm.
So he took care of that. You
Oh,
know,
that's good. That's good.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing that worries me, that the money is not going to end up for water projects. It's just the way Democrats work, and well, sadly, some Republicans
yeah,
find ways of, hey, how can we get some of that money to our districts? and help the people there. So,
Yeah, I
and,
mean, and that's always the problem. I mean,
mhm.
here's the thing: is like the federal government. How many trillions of dollars are deficit do we have right now?
oh, oh, I think the last I saw was $12 trillion. It might be more than that, but
Right. Okay. So let's say 13 trillion, just
yeah,
to round it up a little bit. So
mhm,
the federal government has $13 trillion of money we borrowed.
right,
Okay. How much have we loaned out?
yeah,
Why don't we quit loaning out or call in all those loans? See, the deficit, in my opinion, is well, it's sort of like fake news,
yeah. Well, you gotta remember a lot of that comes from bonds that the government issues,
right?
and a lot of it, well, it's money that we're just printing out,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And we
but
devalued
you
but
gotta
we have so
remember,
many outstanding loans. We have loans going all the way back to World War II
yep, that's
that we've never been paid for. And
hmm
if we start calling in every loan, I guarantee you we would have a balanced budget. But,
yep,
it's a political thing,
yeah, it is. And you gotta remember that a lot of our budget is under entitlements, and they're on automatic pilot,
Yeah.
and it's virtually impossible to even touch any of those uh, uh,
Yeah.
entitlements.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, nobody wants to,
yeah,
you
because
know,
well, if you think of the three-legged stool principle, or the third rail, if you touch that, then that's gonna hurt you in the election. Kind of like with
yeah.
Social Security. Uh,
Sometimes, sometimes I wonder at the, I, I think about our election system and how we vote. And we vote on congressmen every 2 years. All
right.
right. That means they do a year of work or unscrewing a mess that was made for them before. Then they
Right.
spend the next year trying to get reelected. So we're probably lucky if we ever get 6 months worth of actual work out of any congressman.
Yeah.
And personally, I think it should be up to, I think they should all be 4 years across the board, you know.
I don't know.
Well, because I don't think senators should serve 6 years. I don't think anybody should serve longer than our president.
Right.
Uh, the because it's all designed basically off the parliamentarian system as far as the House of Lords and the House of Commons. And the
Right.
congressmen are supposed to be the House of Commons, but they're not. They serve, I mean, you think about Nancy Pelosi, how many years has she served?
Yeah. Oh God, long time.
Yeah.
Well,
And she spent she's probably spent more than half of that time campaigning,
right.
which means she's done actual very little work.
Right. Well, originally it was set up where Congress was the people's house and the Senate was the state's house. And it was set up to where the senators were chosen by the legislators of
Yeah.
that state.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after World War I when we passed, what was that? I think the 17th Amendment did away with that to where they were voted, popular
But
vote of the state.
right. Right.
And I think that's probably where we started on that slow skid towards a socialist agenda.
Yeah.
Because,
That's it.
mhm,
Uh,
and that,
maybe they should all just serve 2 years.
yeah, it could
Except,
be
or, I mean, we can't unring the bell.
right.
It's like some things. It's like it's like one of the shows I was in last night. It's like there's some things you just cannot unsee. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's sort of the way our Congress is set up right now,
Yep.
the House and the Senate, because I mean, senators serve longer than our president, and they can be reelected more times, and yet
That's right. They could serve more than. two
Then two
terms like
terms. Yeah.
the president.
And and
Hmm. Same with Congress too. They could run
right.
how
Yeah.
many,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
mean,
why I'm for term limits.
yeah, I think term limits is the best thing we could do. 12 years out, that's
Right.
it. Boom.
Hmm. Yep.
And our state voted term limits.
Well,
And
same here in Colorado because if you remember, both Roy Romer and Dick Lamb, they served 3 terms. So that was 24 years of Democrat control.
yeah,
And then we got Bill Owens, who was only served 2 terms because he was term limited.
yeah,
And then we haven't had a Republican governor ever since. And
right.
Ronald Lockwood is in
Yeah, I
the
was just going to
chat.
say, did you see
So
what he wrote?
Nancy needs to give it up. Her last funding use was,
Use of Social Security money to
yep,
help towards impeachment is just wrong.
yep,
Yeah, absolutely.
yep.
It's my friggin' money she's using.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to impeach a president that I happen to have voted for. So
Yep,
it's a crock. Yeah, this
yep.
whole impeachment thing
Mm-hmm.
is
Well,
well,
speaking of impeachment, let's talk about something that you brought up a few days ago about how AOC is she's all bored with the
yes.
process. Uh,
She's got the attention span of a gnat. You
yep.
know,
Mm-hmm.
she goes from one crisis to another,
Yep.
and I I would like to see. I'd like somebody to bring up her record to show exactly how much legislative work she has actually done. Not
Mm-hmm.
standing in front, not doing. I mean, here's the thing: President Trump can be on Twitter all day long, and he still gets work done. You
Yep.
know,
Mm-hmm.
she's on Twitter all the time, and she's a twit. She
Well,
gets nothing done. And
she and she doesn't understand how the process works. I mean, what did she think that we were going to start the impeachment process right away? I mean, going back to Watergate, I remember I was like, it was I was in junior high when that was going on, and every time I came home, I go, "Oh God, that's still on again." My
yeah,
my mom is watching that every day.
yeah.
It's on TV, but you know what? I got to learn names like Alderman,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
It was history too.
yeah, yeah, it is. It just doesn't work that way. It's in the House. They've got to bring up articles of impeachment, and what laws did he break? I mean,
Yeah,
there's no laws that Trump broke other than with Bill Clinton. He perjured himself, and that's what the crime was that he was
yeah,
being convicted of.
right. And
Where the
and
Democrats, they have nothing but this convoluted idea of
well,
how he broke some law. Well,
well,
what law
here's
is that? Well, that law.
yeah,
No.
and here's what I see
Oh,
they're
you're
doing.
racist for
Yeah,
asking.
here's what I see they're doing, and I've been watching it, listening to it, and they've got everybody fired up about it, on one side or the other.
Yeah.
But they've start they're doing behind closed doors sessions, inside they're really just in the committees. They haven't even brought it out, because once they bring it out to the full floor, they once they this is just a precursor to the actual impeachment process.
Right.
It's still in committee. Okay.
Right.
Then the committee has to vote on it, and then they have to bring it to the full floor. The full floor has to vote on it in order to start. So they're just at the starting of the start. But what they're
Yeah.
doing is they're issuing all of these subpoenas, so that when the president says this person, and that person will not be testifying, now they can find a way to get him on obstruction of justice. And
Well,
uh
they
That's what
haven't charged him with anything.
no, they're building the case for it. So when they finally bring it to the full house, they can show how many times he obstructed justice. He's not obstructing justice. He's exercising his right as the executive branch of the office, or the executive office, as the president. Under
Hmm.
the rules of the executive office, he has a right to say what executives work for him can and cannot testify, providing,
Hmm.
it's within the guidelines of his
Hmm.
job. And but either some of them they didn't watch history under
Yeah.
Clinton and Nixon.
Yep.
And some of them are so old they were probably there back when, I think Nancy was there when Andrew Johnson was probably impeached. You know,
Yep.
she might have just been a schoolgirl, but God,
Yeah.
with
Well,
that kind of money, you'd think she'd have better makeup on.
yeah. Well, I think my personal belief why they're doing this is because, he's already appointed two conservatives to the Supreme Court, and he's already filled a lot of vacant seats, vacant judgeships
Judgeships, yeah.
in the federal government, and they're worried that, oh my God, uh, the federal courts could be stacked with uh, conservatives,
Conservatives, yeah.
and well, we know Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Well,
Yeah, she's getting a
she's
little
kind of
long in the
iffy.
tooth.
She's a
Yeah.
tough old bird. She's hanging in there, but they're betting on if we get rid of Trump, then we could slow
Well,
down or block any judges from being installed in the federal district courts, the appellate courts, and so forth. So
well,
that's what they're really betting on.
and that's what the whole election was about. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. It was
Mhm.
all about control of the courts. Are we going to be a conservative country, or are we going to be a socialist country?
Right.
And that's what this next election is about too. Because if we lose the Senate, well, we're not going to. Even if Trump should win, if we lose the Senate, there's no way he's going to get a conservative judge in,
Yeah,
and
that's true. And
that's
he
going to,
may be impeached and thrown out of office
yeah,
then.
yeah, thrown out of office anyways. I
Hmm.
mean, they're not stupid, because they're already calling for the impeachment of Pence too. Because here's the other thing: if they convict Trump in the Senate of high crimes and misdemeanors, or whatever rule they're trying to get this under, and they can in turn impeach Pence, and Nancy's reelected, she becomes the president.
Right. Hmm.
That's a scary thought, and that's the thing that the people really need to be paying attention.
Yep.
Who is on the line? What
Hmm.
values are on the line? And
That's
why
true.
we need to get out there and vote, because
Mm.
somebody like AOC and Nancy
Oh yeah,
Pelosi,
she could have a cabinet position. That'd be
she could,
really
yeah.
good.
For
Yeah.
that matter, she could be nominated for vice president. I don't see her getting that,
Yeah.
but
Well, I
but
mean, look at
look at Gerald Ford. You know,
Maxine Waters could be on the Federal Reserve. Can you see that?
yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Secretary of the Treasury. Oh my God, that made
Yeah, this election, this impeachment, and the Democrats know this, and this is where, as conservatives, not Republicans or independents, but as conservative people, that not even that. Let's just say this for anybody who is against socialism, the
hmm.
type of socialism that they've had in Europe in the
Hmm.
past hundred
Hmm.
and plus years. You
Right.
know, if you are against that, if you want to have a free country, it's time for us to stand up and vote and shout to the top of our lungs. Quit
Right.
being so mamby-pamby. Quit
Yep.
being a bunch of wusses and start doing your job and get nasty, because they've been nasty with us for, I know, the last 40 years.
Oh, yeah,
and and longer. I mean, go all the way back to Barry Goldwater. That was a
yeah,
nasty election. You
yep,
know, look at Richard Nixon the first time he ran against Kennedy. That was a nasty election.
yep,
You know, and
mhm,
we got to understand that the press, uh, and I don't care whether it's cable press or the drive-by media,
right,
they have been taken by the socialist agenda. If you look at the history of how coups have uh, been successful, the first thing they ever do in a coup is they take over the broadcast.
yep,
They've done that. They have succeeded. It's a done deal. Even Fox News,
yep.
the only
Yeah,
thing
I
I can
mean,
say is thank
Fox
God Shepard
News
Smith is gone.
has been moving towards the left. Well, now that Rupert Murdoch is not running the show, his sons are running it, and they're starting to move it more to the left.
Yeah,
But I think
but they
it's
got
going to
rid of
end up.
Shepard Smith, and
Yeah,
I did not like Shepard Smith.
I didn't either. Yeah.
I thought he was too left leaning. They are in some ways actually and this is what I have heard through the grapevine, when Shepard and who's the
Oh yeah, Megan Kelly.
no, when Shepard Smith and he struck out against here a couple 3 weeks ago against one of the other uh news guys. He's a real conservative, Tucker Carlson.
Oh yeah.
They had a little spitting contest, and
Mhm.
apparently Shepard went and said, "I want Tucker taken out. Take this isn't right. I'm through with it. I don't want Tucker Carlson here." And they looked at him in the eye and said, "Who's got the better ratings?"
Yep.
And that's when he asked to be released. And I said, we'll think about it. And he kept throwing a hissy fit. And they said, okay, you're released.
Yep.
But he can't go running to CNN like a lot of them have.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
he's got a contract that, no competition contract, which I
Yep.
think is
That's.
great, you
Hmm.
know. But anyway, we veered off. I get fired up about some of this stuff, and
Right.
it's hard for me to. And I always appreciate, Art, that you let me, run my mouth.
Well, I like to think that you contribute to this show and you make this you know a rounded show, and I'm not doing all the talking like I did when it was a solo show. And when I did
Right.
the radio show, it was, I did a lot of talking, and I had some guests on. And you know how on Facebook they have that thing, memories,
Right.
and it would pop up on, oh, this week I talked about so and so, and this is like going all the way back to 2011,
Yeah. Yeah.
2012, and 13. And I'm like going, wow, I had those people on. And uh, I'm going to try and get Congressman Buck on. He was, when I had him on, he was district attorney in Weld County, and
Hmm.
his wife Perry was a state representative.
Oh,
Now she's
okay.
running for county commissioner in Weld County, and sadly they've split up. They're divorced. So Ken's going to be running for re-election next year, and now he's the state party chairman.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that'll be interesting to see how he could pull this off and hopefully get Cory Gardner reelected, and hopefully start. If we could win back one of the chambers of the assembly, that'd be good.
Right.
Then we could
Right.
really put the brakes on this
Yeah.
socialist agenda that's going through here in Colorado. For example, now we found out that one of the oil companies is pulling out of Colorado because of uh, some of the shenanigans that the
Yeah.
Democrats had pulled. We had in the last election, we voted no on local control because that would have been the end of the oil and gas industry here in
Right.
Colorado. And
Right.
then So what happens? Our state legislature went around the will of the people and said, no, we're going to do local control. And now some of these left wing counties, like Adams County, said, well, no more fracking in Adams County.
Yeah.
Not by
Yeah.
the-
We have a lot of fracking here. And what they've had to do is they've had to we also had a lot of earthquakes in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weird. Oh my God. I almost fell out of bed the first one we had. I mean, it was a sound asleep, and all of a sudden the bed's. I'm like, what the God's name is that? Dogs went nuts, and
Right.
and it was the way they were. It was the injection wells and the way they were
Oh, okay.
releasing getting rid of the overpower, basically
Over.
the hot water they spray down in there.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so they've had to change the way they do that.
Right.
And
Hmm. Same thing here in
yeah,
Colorado.
but we've had, you know, we've had very few. We'll have a trimmer every so often now, but
Right.
we were having, like, there's one place up near Prague, Oklahoma, where my cousin lives. My God, I think it's Pittsburgh County. They were having them so bad, stuff was falling off the shelves. I
Wow.
mean, we're talking California. We're talking,
Yeah.
uh, you know, 6.5 on the Richter scale.
Yeah.
Those are big earthquakes,
Yep.
especially for a bunch of flatlanders.
Yep. Hmm.
I remember Earth. And here I am veering off subject, but
Yeah.
this has to do with Denver. I
Okay.
remember as a kid, I was homesick from school, and my mother was talking to my aunt. My aunt was from California, and
Right.
she'd lived through a couple of those big earthquakes out in
Yeah.
California back in the, I don't know, 30s or 40s.
Right.
Anyways, and this was in the 60s,
Right.
early part of the 60s. And I was home from school, and I was sick that day. And all of a sudden, boom, somebody hit the side of our house. And I got up to go look outside and see, it's, how when you bounce a ball off the house,
Yeah.
like one of those big rubber balls on a
Yeah.
brick home, it'll make that sort of noise. Well, that's what it sounded like. There was somebody at the end of our house, the other side of our garage. So I went out there to look, and there's nobody there. And I come back in, and my mother is, talking like a Dutch uncle, trying to get my aunt to calm down. And it turned out it was an earthquake. And then we about 2 months later, how when a semi truck drives down your street,
Yeah.
that kind of
Had the
rumble and
rumble,
feel. Yeah.
rumble. Yeah.
Yeah. That happened at our house again. And that's when my mom said, that's an earthquake. It turned out they were getting rid of all the nerve gas and the mustard gas out there at Rocky Mountain Arsenal.
Oh yeah, I
And they were
remember.
pumping it into the ground, and it opened up one of the fissures down there. So they had to pull it all out
Yeah.
and find other ways to dispose of it. And
Yeah.
they didn't dispose of some of that stuff until they just got rid of 10 years ago, because a couple of kids I grew up with there in Denver, they got the contract to do the disposal.
Right. Well, and now that's a wildlife refuge now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got fishing there. It's catch and release, and
Right.
it's
Right.
flies and lures only.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear the fishing is not bad. They've got pike in some of those lakes. So one of these days I gotta
Well,
fish
you
there.
know why it's catch and release.
Well, because it's polluted.
Yeah, the fish will glow in the dark.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that used to be I mean, when it
and then
just goes to show you, when I was a kid, they still had mustard gas and nerve gas stored
yeah.
out there,
Mhm.
and still had some of that stuff. Like I said, at least 10 years ago,
Mhm.
some of that stuff was still there. They didn't know
Mhm.
what to do with it.
Well, just northwest of Arvada, there was a place called Rocky Flats where they
Yes,
made
yes,
components for
yeah,
nuclear bombs, and
yeah, yeah.
well,
Maybe
they had several fires there, and you know what caused those fires?
what?
It was the dust and the shavings from the plutonium, and when that built up,
Right? It
it
would
looked like
spark.
sawdust, and that builds up, and what's going to happen? It's going to start going critical, and that's what started the fires there. Because what would happen is it would get into the ventilation, and and over
Yeah.
time that would build up, and then you get to subcritical mass, and it starts heating up, and that's when you get that blue glow, and that's
Right.
cause fires.
Yeah.
So
And I'm glad you said Rocky Flats. See, I always got those two mixed up. Rocky Mountain Arsenal is where they kept the nerve gas from World
right.
War One. Rocky Flats is the one that my friends got the contract to shut that down
Uh,
because they had to go in there with hazmat and do all
yep.
the with the nukes and all that.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, they got the contract to shut down Rocky Flats. So
And
yeah,
that's also another wildlife refuge there,
yeah.
and it's a no-fly zone.
Oh, I can imagine they
Can't
probably still
can't
got
fly
stuff
a
there that they
drone there.
yeah.
Yep.
There's probably stuff there they don't want people to know about.
Well, I think part of it is that, and they don't want to disturb the animals that are there, like the deer and the ferrets and all that. It's
Right.
because Front Range Airport is near there,
Oh, okay.
and their
Yeah.
airspace is right over that area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's probably part of their approach. And,
Yeah. Hmm.
you know, well, you're part 107, the
Yeah.
approach
Mm.
of, uh, now you've hit 1K, haven't you, on
Yes,
your
I
other
have.
channel? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you monetized yet? No, you
No,
still working on your hours.
I'm working on my hours. I'm a quarter of the way there. I've got a little over 1,000 hours now. I just need 3,000 hours more, and
Wow. I must be
so
doing something right then because I've got 2,700 hours in the last 12 months.
are you sure it's hours or
No,
minutes?
I looked it up. It's
Oh,
hours.
oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm halfway. I'm over halfway to my 4,000
Cool.
hours.
Cool.
Yeah. Do
Yep.
you use TubeBuddy by chance?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If you look at that on TubeBuddy, when you go to your analytics on your channel and you
Right.
bring up TubeBuddy, click on it. Uh, if you're using a PC,
Yep.
it'll show you what it'll convert it to hours, and it'll say
Oh,
what your goal is, X amount of this.
okay.
And
Cool.
uh, also you can go in and where let's see, is it? You can also go in under the your channel.
Oh, yeah. Studio.
Yeah,
Mm.
your studio, and I think under the beta studio, you can look at
Yeah.
statistics, and it'll show you monetization, and it'll
Right.
show you the 3 steps that or 4 steps you got to have,
Yeah. That's
and
right.
you click on that, and that's where I found out that I think that's where I found out I've got 2,700 and some odd hours
Oh,
of
okay.
view time in the last 12 months.
Okay.
And my thing is I don't plan on being monetized,
Right.
simply because I don't want to have to follow all those rules. Uh, and I've got there's other ways to do it. I've got Patreon,
Yep, I got
and
that up for this channel. So if you guys
okay,
want to be a member, go to my page,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's a place you can click on and become a Patreon member. I mean,
yeah,
for as little as $1 a month. I mean,
yeah. I think
that's
mine starts at 5, and I
five.
think you can just be grumpy, and then 10 you can be really grumpy, and 15 you can be outright outrageously grumpy or something like
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
I don't remember. I set it up. I do have a Patreon subscriber, so
Oh,
that's
great,
cool. So
cool, great.
and but anyways, so we digressed and talked about
Yep.
everything. And what else? Oh,
Oh,
we were going to talk about the protest up in Washington D.C.
yes.
that I brought
Okay,
up
let's
to you.
talk about that. So I know Jane Fonda got arrested up there. So
Oh, did she?
yeah,
Well,
she did.
good for her. Aren't
Mhm.
we all proud of? I got this notification from Britbart that said, and I was reading what somebody said, and you know, uh,
Breitbart.
yeah, Breitbart. Yeah, what did I say, Britbart?
Yeah,
Breitbart.
Breitbart.
Oh well. Hey, I'm in Oklahoma. We always mispronounce words. When I was in Colorado, I used to say everything. I did not have this hillbilly accent when I grew up in Colorado. This was obtained over the last 38 years.
Right.
But uh, anyways, somebody had written on there, said there were 38,000 people protesting,
Yeah,
and it's like, man, George Soros has got to be run out of money pretty
yeah,
soon.
yeah.
He can't keep spending like this and not run,
Yeah, I mean, there's
because that's where,
only so much Nazi money that he used to build his empire with.
yeah, talking about fascist, you're right. He used Nazi money to
Mhm,
build his empire,
mhm,
and yet he's funding the Antifa people. I
right.
mean, if that isn't just a slap in your face of Antifa, but they're too, they're,
Two sides of the same coin. Yeah.
they
Mhm.
are, uh,
Yeah, I get that might be something that I might do down the road. Talk about how George Soros made his fortune, and my
yeah,
theory is I think he knew where the hidden money was
oh,
after World War II because he basically helped the Nazis say, "Hey, well, those people they got some valuables," and
right,
I
yeah,
think what happened was after World War II, when he was a young man going to school, he I think he got hold of some gems. He knew where the hidden diamonds were. Took
yeah,
that and then he bribed some people because Russians weren't they don't just let people go to school in England. They just don't let people from the Iron Curtain go to
right,
college at Cambridge.
yeah,
So I think he paid off somebody, and he probably already had some money stashed away over in, like Switzerland, maybe.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
he got that money, and then he started building up his fortune. And that's when he came up with that theory where he said, you know what? I think I could destroy the British economy by
yeah,
shorting the British pound.
yeah,
And that's what he did. He nearly collapsed the
yeah,
British economy with that, and he became a very very wealthy man. And
yeah. Yeah, if people don't know his history, if they don't pay attention, if they don't follow the money trail, we're going the same direction,
mhm. Hey,
And
you know what? He doesn't even live in the United States anymore. You know
no,
where he lives? He lives in Curacao, which is in the Lesser Antilles in the Caribbean, right
oh
on
yeah,
the coast
yeah,
of
yeah,
what's the other place? Venezuela,
yeah, yeah.
his
Oh,
other
he
favorite country.
but talk about him going to school under from the Iron Curtain and going over to Cambridge. Well, it's real simple. They sent him there. I mean, my opinion is like you said, they don't just let him go. You got to remember, they under
They
communism, they
mold.
traded all walks of society,
Mm,
and around the world. That was their whole goal. I mean,
yep.
uh,
Mhm.
so yeah. And have you seen the movie Monument Men?
Yes, I have. Yeah, very good.
Remember the where Brad Pitt is working with that gal to try and get to find out some of these locations, and they were talking. There was that
That warehouse that had
yeah,
all the goods.
right, but there
The
was
furniture,
the one guy who was working with the Nazis to, value all these paintings and stuff
right? Hmm.
was her boss,
Oh
during
yeah,
during the war.
he
Well, that's
escaped.
George Soros.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
best comparison.
You remember how they caught him?
I can't remember because I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay, they were at the guy's house, and he was in civilian clothes, and they were asking him questions, and
Yes.
one of the interrogators had a bright idea where he said something to the little kids, Heil Hitler, and the kids all went
Yeah.
and saluted, and then that's
Yeah.
how they knew that this guy
Well,
was the
they had
guy they were
spotted a
looking
painting on the wall too.
for.
Uh,
Yeah,
and that,
he said that was a Rothschild.
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. That was
Yeah.
owned by the Rothschild. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a bottle of 1933 Rothschild wine?
No.
I have actually held three of them,
Wow.
and they have the swastika on them.
Oh, wow.
I worked for he used to be the richest man in Oklahoma. He was one of the richest men in the United States. James C. Lake, as one of the greatest. He's dead now, but they still have the Lake Auto Auction up in Tulsa, where they bring in all, Rolls Royces. I mean, you're talking
Wow.
these are massive, big dollar cars. And he
Right.
had three wine cellars, and he said he gave me a slot number. He says, go in there and pick out three bottles off this. We need to send it up. We got a special client coming to our restaurant that up in Tulsa. Okay,
Mhm.
I get up there and I pull the first one. I look at it and I'm going, oh my God, this is priceless. So I
Yeah.
very gently got over, set it down, and I had a wine box set aside with all the packing in it. And I go up and get the next one. He had three bottles of that.
Wow.
And there,
Amazing.
don't know what it tastes like, didn't care. I'm thinking this,
Mm.
this stuff's from 1933. This crap's probably vinegar, but it was
Yeah.
just the fact that I got to hold something that was a piece of history,
Right. Hmm.
and that was another piece of history from that same time period. I've actually driven, uh, 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 uh,
Rolls Royce.
it was a Rolls Royce, but it was uh,
Bentley.
Prime Minister of England.
Oh, Margaret
Uh,
Thatcher.
no, 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 no. World War II Prime Minister. My mind just
Oh,
went blank.
Churchill.
The bulldog. Uh,
Yeah. Winston
what's his
Churchill.
Winston Churchill. I've actually driven his
Ooh,
Rolls Royce.
wow.
I drove it down to. I drove it out to detail it and have it, do the car wash. But I got to drive it because this guy had it, and in the back seat, uh, Churchill had these huge ashtrays back there for
Oh, I
his
bet.
for his cigars. Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
and it, believe it or not, it still had kind of a just a little bit of the
Oh,
smell of the
yeah.
cigars. Yeah,
Cigars.
yeah, it was just unbelievable.
Mm.
As a younger person, it's probably 33 years ago, maybe 35 years
Wow.
ago now. Probably about 35 years ago, I got to do this, and I wasn't young then, but,
Right.
I don't think I've ever been young, but anyways, but it was fun,
Yep.
that was a piece of history. And, but yeah, you brought up Rothschild. It reminded me of
Right.
working for him
Well,
because I was basically a gopher.
speaking of Europeans, we had a well-known European here in Denver last Friday, Greta Thunberg, who made that
Yeah.
famous speech at the UN where she said, "How dare you?
Yeah. Her face is uglier than mine when I'm mad.
How
That's sad.
dare you?"
She's how old?
16.
16.
Hmm.
I guess
And,
her mother never told her she looks like that. Her face could freeze like that.
and you know what I've been hearing? She's not very good off script, so she's always surrounded by her handlers.
Oh
And then
yeah.
also I found out that she has Asperger's syndrome.
Oh yeah.
So that probably explains
Well, yeah,
why she's programmed the way she is
yeah.
and
I
being
th-
controlled by some handlers, her parents and like-minded people. So, and that's
there,
why they don't do interviews with her. I
right.
guess Channel 9 here in Denver wanted to interview her, but they found out that she wasn't very good at interviews.
Yeah. Well, I watched. There's a guy. It's called. I think it's called Blue Collar Common Sense. Is his channel? I'll have to find a link to it. And this
Right.
guy, he's just a. He's like you and me, and he's
Mhm.
got quite a large following and conservative. And he talked about, she was talking about how my childhood was stolen from me. He says, "Yes, you're right. Your parents did it.
Yep. That's
Blame
right.
them. Don't blame the UN. Don't blame the world. It's your parents who programmed you and have you believing this crap that stole
Mhm.
your childhood from you."
That's
And the
right.
fact that she may have Asperger's syndrome,
Yep.
uh, you know, I have a grandson that's autistic, and
Right.
his his opinion can easily be swayed, but
Right.
I will give him credit. He is an absolute. He'll fight you over it. He's a fan of Donald Trump.
Well, great. One
Yeah, one of my grandkids.
bright
But
kid. Bright kid.
yeah, he is a bright kid, but he does have spectrum autism,
Right.
and he's high function, but he's still got, even though he's 12 years old, he sounds more like he's about 9,
Yeah.
at times. But when it comes to
Certain
like computers,
topics.
and yeah,
Right. Very
he's
knowledgeable about.
very, and he's actually the top of his class. He's very,
Yeah.
he's learning very well.
Right.
He's in the right
Yeah.
level.
He's a
He's sixth
savant.
grader.
Yeah.
you know he's definitely high function,
Hmm.
and but I could see where he could be, the right people did him the right way.
Manipulate him, and yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's what, if that's the case that they did with her, well then they uh they're criminals for that, as far as
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
and
and plus on my Facebook page, I made I thought was kind of a funny commentary by saying, "Doesn't she sound like Gollum?"
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, a couple people didn't like that, but I
Yeah,
got a lot of thumbs up though.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you know,
yeah.
you
I
shouldn't be making fun of kids, and it's like, you know what? That's mild
really,
compared to what the Democrats and
yeah,
liberals do. Where remember that little girl that was mocking AOC, doing those where she was doing those videos where she was dressed up like AOC with the glasses and stuff. Well, she actually got death threats,
yeah.
and
I heard something about that. I mean, how sad do you have to, how bad does it have to be? You're threatening a kid for dressing up,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm just poking fun at this kid, but I'm not. Well, remember when they were going after Baron Trump? They were going after him.
yeah.
I
But they
mean,
didn't think anything was wrong with that.
yeah.
But when it's shoes on the other foot, it's a complete different story.
Mhm.
And Thomas O'Sullivan just popped up. He never
Yeah, I
got
saw that.
notification. Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah, see, didn't get the notification. There's something screwy going on with YouTube or
YouTube is known, their algorithm or whatever, or their people are making sure that conservative talk is suppressed.
right,
So here's the thing. If you guys know two people that would be interested in this, you need to send this to them, and or
right.
send them a link to this channel, and make sure they subscribe.
Hmm.
And because I think that would be a great thing if we could get every person that watches this, each new person that comes on, that says,
Hmm.
"Oh man, if you like the content that Art provides here,"
Right.
and I usually take over. Uh, if you like that, you know, feel
Mhm.
free. Please, let you know at
Yeah,
least
spread
two of
the
your friends know that
yeah,
that
spread the
they're
word.
conservative. Yeah,
Let's grow this channel. Let's
yeah.
uh get it out there, and let, Candace Owens, she's got her own channel doing great. And be wonderful if I could be on that level, you know.
He said it didn't even show up where the videos show up. Yeah,
Huh. Well,
yeah. It's
sometimes there's a lag when we're using the StreamYard.
yeah, yeah,
It takes a while for it to come on my page.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when this show is done, it's going to take a while for it to uh,
Pop up.
yeah, mhm,
Yeah.
before
Well,
I could
if
upload it to my Facebook page. I've got
yeah,
an Arts Place Facebook page.
well, if it's an if it's an hour long show,
Hmm.
it's going to take about an hour and 30 minutes before they get it rendered and put up,
Right.
and everything put out. So
Hmm.
I've noticed that too. So uh it just, and YouTube's been real bad lately about not letting, conservative talk get out, and it's
Right.
just it is what it is.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but uh
Can you start again? He says.
I wish, but I've got another show to do tonight,
Yep.
and the way my voice was this morning,
Well, you
and I can
sound
hear it.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I'm going to have some tea and honey here after I get through
Okay.
with the show.
Very good. Well, Tropic just showed up. Welcome to the show. Uh, Sorry you showed up near the end. We're going to be wrapping up pretty soon here. But yeah, I'm going to be at work tomorrow, and I'm off the rest of the week, so that'll give me some time to uh, line up some guests for this show and for my other show that
Well,
I've got.
you won't be doing a show next weekend for
Uh,
on this one, will you?
Sunday, I come in on Sunday morning. We'll see how I feel. I might,
Right.
because it's an early morning flight, and I might be
Okay.
a little. But
Yeah.
you never know. I might do another show, kind of like this, where we'll do a freestyle, talk
Right.
about
Just
topics that are hot for the week.
right.
Um,
Right. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
All
And
right. So, all right, folks. Thank you, Lloyd, for coming on, and hope you're feeling a little better for Mel's show tonight.
yeah.
And for those of you in the chat, thank you for coming. And please tell your friends about it. Let's get the show going. Let's grow it.
Yeah,
And
if everybody who's watched this show would just contact 2 people and say, "Here, you know, check
right.
these guys out,"
Mhm.
and, who is Tropic? He says he'll see you at Spin Up.
Huh.
So,
I'll
I'm
have
tr
to find out.
yeah, I'm gonna have to matter of fact,
Yeah.
I'm gonna yeah, uh,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay, and also, yeah, tell 2 people. Let's grow this right now. I'm at 109 subs. Let's get that up there, and let's get it to 200, and then to 300, and so forth. Let's
Yeah,
get this
yeah.
going. I think it just needs a little something, to get the snowball and grow into a
Well,
really nice channel.
some weeks we have 1 person in here, and,
Yeah,
we seem to be getting a rotation of different people coming through. Like, we had Ronald Lockwood come in, we have Thomas O'Sullivan, Tropic has just joined us, Drone Life RC dropped in,
right.
and, you
Well,
know
there are some other people, some friends of ours that also have shows that are on the same time.
yeah, I think today Mitch was doing a show
Yeah,
because he's
yeah,
doing
he
that
was
build.
on. Yeah,
I He was gonna do that monster build of his.
yeah, mm,
Frankendrone.
yeah,
So,
Franken. All right. Thanks everybody, and we will maybe see you next week, depending on how I feel from my flight. So take care,
okay.
all. God
You
bless
have fun
you,
down there.
and see you next time. Bye bye.